What's up? I'm Scotty from the Boardr, where we help run some of skateboarding's most fun events. In this series of videos, we'll be covering how to run a quality event.
Hi, I'm Rob. I'm here to skate.
All right, in this segment, we'll cover registration and check-in.
All right, so registration. This is an important part of your event. It's the front lines and the first impression that a lot of people who come and participate in your event are gonna see. This is where all those little things that you might not have thought of come into play. You want to have great customer service. The person that you have at registration should be like a good shop employee. Someone who has the basics of shaking hands, smiling, and saying, "How are you doing?" before they check you in. As far as the details of checking in other chapters, we cover your options for that. You can use, of course, the Boardr Live, which makes that really easy. If you're running your contest spreadsheet-based, a lot of people will use Google Forms to collect registration data ahead of time for people to sign up online, or you can do all your sign-ups right there on site. So for registration on site versus pre-registration, where you're maybe collecting registration information online ahead of time, there's advantages and disadvantages to both. Ordinarily, when we charge an entry fee for the contest, we do pre-registration, because most of the pre-registration you're going to get, or almost all of it, is going to be serious people who are going to show up for the contest because they're paying their entry fee. For free contests, we generally do registration and check-in on site at the contest for that, because what we've seen happen in the past is if you have free and wide open registration online leading up to the contest, you might just end up with a bunch of no-shows. No-shows are super easy to handle if you're using a tool like the Boardr Live, but no-shows are an administrative headache if you're using spreadsheets or some other solution that isn't as flexible as a solution like the Boardr Live. So at registration, you're gonna be facing one of two scenarios. If you did pre-registration leading up to the contest, you're still gonna have people come over to registration, check in, give you the thumbs up. You might update their sponsors and all that. Maybe get a headshot at the time if you're using the Boardr Live. And of course, if you're doing registration right there on site and people aren't pre-registered, when they come over to the registration desk, you're gonna ask them what division or what event they're gonna skate in and add them in the contest, of course. And that's where you'll be using either the Boardr Live or updating your spreadsheets as you go along. So the registration process usually happens the morning of. For larger contests, there sometimes is an entire day before the event to do registration and check-in. For smaller events, we usually do it the morning of, like with our Grind for Life series. We start check-in at 9 a.m. that morning, and the first division, the first contest, starts at 10:30. So we have an hour and a half to handle the, that's basically the busiest time. That time in the morning is when the influx of crowds get there, the parents and kids are getting dropped off, getting ready. They want to get there, check in as fast as they can, and go straight to skating and practice. So be ready for it at 9 a.m. That's when your biggest rush is going to be. And consider having two people there at the registration desk too. And of course, the other thing that's going to make it much easier and quicker is a tool like the Boardr Live to do your registration and check-in. Spreadsheets also work well there too if you don't have tons of volume. So those are the basics of registration and how that needs to go. If you have the budget and are lucky enough to have a dedicated person who can remain at registration all day, that's great, and it's just another extra notch in your good customer service for your event. You want someone up there the entire day, especially if you have a contest like Grind for Life that runs from 10:30 all the way to 5 p.m. A lot of people aren't going to get there until an hour or two before their division, and if it's 1 or 2 o'clock, you still want someone available for registration and check-in up there rather than running up to the announcers and going, where do I check in, and am I in the contest or not, and all that stuff. So have someone up there at registration as long as you can, all day if possible, for the good customer service. And from there, you're ready to run your contest. Before each division, generally it's going to be your registration person that prepares the start list, the heats and the jams, and when people are going to skate. You go and group all of the people in, and right before that division starts, the announcers are notified, like, hey, I set up the jams and I set up the heats. Go ahead and announce them and sit the judges down and prepare to start that division. So this process goes on all day long at registration, where you're checking people in, adding new people in the contest, and preparing the start list for each division that starts throughout the day. And for us, I know I've said it multiple times, but I like to stress the fact that your registration is your front lines, it's your customer service, it's the first impression that people are going to have, especially if this is a new event. Smile and high-five them and make their experience kick off like nice. This is going to help with the longevity of your event and getting people to come back next year, and before you know it, after a few years of this great customer service, you're going to have a really strong event that can sustain itself and continue, and hopefully you can make a living from it. And that's what we're trying to help you do in this entire video series.